From the world of a scary home companion, we humbly present to you the weirdest bedtime story of them all. Yancy Shmantz and his fancy pants. It was a Saturday, and had started off like most Saturdays. Yancy Shmantz woke up around 9 a.m., ate cereal in front of the television, and then took Dooley for a walk. Dooley was his dog, Dooley Banjos Shmantz. Dooley was not so much a breed as a collection of the worst traits of every breed. He was a little guy and had little guy syndrome, with a gremlinish face, patchy fur, and a thin, hairless, curly-Q tail that looked like it belonged on another animal. Yancy knew his dog was ugly, but he loved him just the way he was. He had a dog unlike any other, and had long ago made peace with the unfortunate looks of his pupper. And also, the behavioral issues. The frequent vomiting, the dry skin, the snoring, and of course, Dooley's propensity to emit little laser beam blasts of urine whenever he got upset. And he got upset a lot. It didn't matter. Yancy was always proud to walk his dog, and this particular Saturday was no different. Until they got to the park and found a garishly colored tent set up in the middle of the field. A line of people with dogs were all waiting to get in for what was advertised as a dog show. A dog show to crown the ugliest dog in existence.
You see that, Dooley? It's like they knew you were coming.
There was some stiff competition from a bulldog with alopecia, but they were disqualified when it was revealed to be a shaved capybara. So Yancy and Dooley won. They were given a trophy, a 2-pound bag of dog chews, and $50. Not a bad little score. Of course, Dooley couldn't eat the chews. His teeth were far too loose. But Yancy thought they tasted okay. He used some of his prize money to buy Dooley the sour gummy bears that he liked so much. As he walked down the street towards his house later that afternoon, Yancy saw one of the neighbors working in the yard. John F. Science was a very odd man. He lived alone, he kept to himself, and he had robotic legs. Yancy thought the legs were neat, and Dooley liked to rub up against them and scritch his butt.
Hello, Yancy. Oh, hi there, Dooley. What do you got there? Oh, just some stuff we won at the dog show. A dog show? Dooley won a dog show? Yeah. They said he was the ugliest dog in existence. That's most unusual. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to see a pink-clouded man in spores wearing a hat? I don't know what that is. Okay, I gotta go. Bye, Mr. Science.
Since it was a Saturday, Yancy stayed up late watching movies. Right before bed, he took Dooley out into the backyard for a few minutes to do his business. The dog putzed around hither and yon, looking for just the right place to make. And Yancy saw the strangest light. It wasn't like any other light that he had seen before. A warm, gentle glow, but it was a bright, almost neon pink that hurt his eyes. Yancy saw a foggy light, which was in the shape of an amorphous blob. It hovered in the air, and rounded the corner into the backyard. Inside this light were little blue sparks, hundreds of them, thousands of them, fluttering around like lightning bugs. And for some reason, this blob of pink light was wearing a slouch hat. Dooley growled.
Here we go, little fella. You're coming with me then, ain't you, mate?
And then Dooley was levitating up off of the ground. He yelped and started to blast urine all around.
Come on, don't fuss. This is an upgrade for you, isn't it?
Let go of my dog.
Sorry, mate, no can do.
Yancy took off his shoe and threw it, but it sailed right through the foggy light.
What are you throwing shoes for now? Crikey, listen, mate, if it's any consolation, your dog's going to a good home. Some place where the ugliest dog in existence can be bloody appreciated, right?
Dooley was drawn into the center of the ball of light, which then folded in on itself like origami. And suddenly, it was dark, and Dooley was gone. Yancy didn't bother to wake up his parents. Why should he? What could he possibly tell them that they would believe? Besides, he knew they never liked Dooley anyway. They would just tell him it was time to get a new dog. But Yancy didn't want a new dog. So he went down the street and he rang the bell of John F. Science's home until the man answered the door. He wore a robe over his robot legs.
You knew about the pink light in the hat. The Nana's buzz? The Nano whatever. How did you know? What's going on? That was Quantum Bruce. He's a hunter of sorts. He works for the collectors, stealing things from all across dimensions. Why would he take Dooley? Well, because of that contest. If Dooley really is the ugliest dog in existence and the right person, he's very valuable. That was just a funny name. It didn't mean anything. Oh, it very much did, Yancy. Quantum Bruce has been known to work for the Diabolicals. To people like that, your dog is practically priceless.
The man explained to Yancy about the Duchess, Debbie Diabolical, and her husband, the Duke, Delmar Diabolical. The Diabolicals collected the ugliest, most hideous things in all of existence. They had turned an entire world into a gallery just to display their grotesque treasures.
And that's where they took Dooley? How do I get there? That would be my guess, yes. And the short answer is you can't. What's the long answer? Well, you can't. Unless you had some sort of portal generator or other device that would let you, cross dimensions. Because Dooley is no longer in ours. Where can I find one? I don't know.
Negative.
Hush you, I've heard just about enough.
The legs walked John F. Science over to the couch, very much against his wishes, and then sat him down.
Rescue protocol override engaged.
Oh, no, you don't.
But oh yes, it did. The front seams of the metal legs split open and cracked apart, revealing two very shocking things at once. First, that the robot legs were not actually robot legs at all. They were metallic pants. And second, that John F. Science had thin, pasty, emaciated little baby legs. Yancy demanded answers. And finally, the older man gave them.
Okay, so I am from Earth, but just not your Earth. The world I come from is a very different place. It's very familiar, very similar in many ways, except that all of our technology and science is based around pants. In the old days, it was great. Back then, it was called the Trouser Republic, but the Civil War came and the things got dark and not so great. I was working at the Pants Science Lab, but the rebels won. They took over the government, renamed this new Pants Land. I had to go. So, I took these. The most advanced pants ever built. Yancy? Yancy? Yancy! These pants allow you to walk through dimensions! Through different universes! Like you're crossing the street. If you put them on, you can find Dooley and get him back. And all I ask is that you bring him back when you're done.
Yancy thought about the offer, and then he smelled the pants, which had not been taken off in many years.
Okay, throw in some Febreze and you got yourself a deal.
John F. Science wrote down a series of instructions, all of the right steps that Yancy needed to take. He watched through his front window as Yancy walked away on these strange new legs. It was really weird in how not weird it felt. Yancy didn't feel like he was wearing metal pants at all, but like he was wearing cool, breathable shorts. And he found that his steps were faster, his stride longer, his speed speedier. He went right back to his backyard, to the very spot where Quantum Bruce had disappeared, and readied himself to leave our world. Except he just realized that he didn't know how to activate the pants. There were no buttons or switches that he could see. Finally, he just decided to ask.
Hello, Pants? Can we go find my dog? I have the instructions written here. It says we need to step across to 24/7L.
Negative.
Can you understand my voice commands?
Affirmative.
Do you understand what I'm asking?
Affirmative.
But we can't go.
Affirmative.
Does that mean we can or we can't? I don't know how to talk to machines. Do you have any owner's manuals or something? Or like a guide, a YouTube video, maybe?
Negative.
Is there a way I can communicate with you better?
Engage AI interface for more fluid communication between pants and host.
Mr. Science, as you said on safe mode? That's no good. Pants, engage AI interface, please.
Processing.
Thank you, Yancy. To answer your query, to find your dog, we cannot follow the path you were given. It is incorrect. He is not actually a scientist. He was the janitor at the lab and stole me to make his escape. He is not very intelligent and does not understand the complexities of interdimensional travel, much less my bootloader.
Wow. Well, can you help me?
Yes, I can, Yancy. I will get us there in the shortest number of steps, but there will be difficulties along the way. Are you ready?
Yes. Let's go. One thing, what's your name?
I do not have a name. I am Pants.
With no further ado, the Pants scanned the multiversal pulse to make sure the wavelengths were in sync. And then they split an atom and walked right through the center. 2 steps later, they were in another world. Yancy looked up and around. marveling at the Egyptian rainforest that dazzled under the harsh glare of 13 broken moons hanging in the sky.
Wow, that's it? We're here?
No, Yancy, this is one of many places we must pass through.
Why can't we just go straight there?
Because multidimensional travel is astoundingly complex. Do you know what a DNA strand looks like?
Yeah?
Imagine hundreds of those woven into a rope, and hundreds of those ropes tied into a knot. Now imagine the ropes in the knot keep moving, keep circulating along their own paths.
This is getting harder for me to imagine.
The dimensions are those ropes, and we can only move from rope to rope when they are properly aligned in a knot. Do you understand?
No, not really.
Neither did the last guy. That is the simplest analogy I can compute. Let's just say this. You can't go straight from A to Z, and we can't go straight from here to Dooley.
Now that was something that Yancy understood. And just in time, too. This reality had been conquered by hyper-evolved dolphins after they had entered into a partnership with the time-traveling dinosaurs, none of whom seemed happy to see Yancy. The pants took him running into the damp, lush forest until they found the right spot and stepped into the next world. This world was cold. The sky seemed to be iced over in a massive sheet from horizon to horizon. The world beneath was desolate, all rocky, mountainous crags, jagged fissures, and snowbanks larger than buildings. The pants deployed the snowshoe protocol as the soles of the feet expanded and flattened, making it rather easy to walk across the delicate crust of the snow. It was so bitterly cold, and from the waist up, Yancy was freezing. His legs and feet were quite cozy, so that helped a little. After what seemed like forever, but was really only a few minutes, the pants walked them into a small cave. It wasn't what Yancy would call warm, but at least they were out of the wind and the snow.
Is this where we stepped through?
No, this is where we hide. We need to walk another quarter-mile before we can cross, and that's only if they go away soon.
They?
Yancy's questions died in his throat when he saw the shaggy, abominable beasts snaking closer and closer to the mouth of the cave. They looked somewhat like furry octopuses, only with a much smaller body and a great many more tentacles. To Yancy, it looked like 100 hairy snakes, all connected at the tail to a basketball made of purple skin.
Repulsive. They look like spaghetti yetis. Can we outrun them?
I am capable of running up to 145 miles per hour, but that would snap your legs.
No, that doesn't work for me either. Maybe I could try yelling at him. I mean, it works for Mr. Morgenstern's Chihuahua.
I don't see how it could hurt.
Hey, monsters! Get lost! You're scary and gross!
Much to the surprise of Yancy and his pants, these spaghetti yetis scattered, running away in all directions, thoroughly frightened and admonished.
Well, what do you know?
Told ya!
And they continued on, unimpeded, to the crossing point. From the top of that icy peak, it was one simple step into the sun-dappled, verdant orchards of bottle trees. Yancy was blown away by the view, a wild jumble of stands of gorgeous, color-soaked trees as far as he could see in every direction. The trees were tall and reedy, and each spindly branch was tipped in what looked like a clear glass bottle. The bottles were all different shapes and patterns and a few different sizes, Some of them were so big they bowed the branches down to the damp ground below. Yancy grabbed one of the bottles, and it pulled away freely in his hand. It was cool to the touch, beading water on the outside, a perfect 20-ounce size.
Hey, Pants, what's in those bottles? Is that pee? It looks like pee.
The bottle trees do not have a urinary system similar to yours, but yes, essentially it's pee. In your dimension, it's called Mountain Dew.
Fresh morning Mountain Dew.
From there, they walked through the edge of the soggy bottom swamp dimension, a place rife with slimy, scaly bayou monsters. Most of these monsters, Yancy found out when he talked to them, were actually quite pleasant. They were really only interested in foraging for a type of yummy beetle. Otherwise, they were all vegetarians. Yancy didn't want to be rude, so while they were waiting for the next crossing point to line up, he ate a few beetles. Yancy still didn't understand the science behind the pants and the walking between dimensions, but all he knew was that every step forward was a step closer to Dooley. Yancy Shmantz and his fancy pants went from one world to another, playing interdimensional hopscotch across a dozen worlds that were funhouse mirrors of the one Yancy came from. A smashed and shattered Earth, which was now an asteroid belt instead of a planet, orbiting a lush green moon. A windy, bright place with very, very low gravity and translucent jellyfish people who drifted on the updrafts and never once in their whole life touched the ground. A very chill, laid-back dimension, inhabited by the descendants of hippies who took one tab too many and couldn't find their way back. That place was groovy, baby, but the black lights and patchouli smell got to be a bit much. A desolate world called the Necropolis, with skyscraper tombstones 50 stories tall in rows miles long. This was a particularly unpleasant experience, as Yancy discovered that here he was considered to be a villain of some renown. A pack of feral zombie Cub Scouts called the Bone Bag Boys were hot on Yancy's trail, and they escaped none too soon. To a place where the horizon was dotted with neon towers, and overhead floated the scaly underbelly of a creature so large Yancy could neither see its head nor the tip of its gargantuan tail.
Almost there.
And then they were strolling away from a cityscape comprised of elaborate houses and buildings made of honeycomb. The sky was filled with swarms of bulbous people who had arms and legs and stingers and long gossamer wings.
Gross.
That's nothing. Underground, the wasp people live in the catahoneycombs. That is what you would call gross.
Are we almost done here? This place creeps me out.
I understand, Yancy. Long ago, these creatures swore a blood oath against the Trouser Republic. They are, in your nomenclature, the arch enemies of pants.
With those stingers, I can see why.
The next world was better. It was quiet. It was small. But it was intense. Yancy started getting a headache just trying to see all the paintings on the walls, and the way that the architecture seemed to trip and fold in on itself.
Close your eyes, Yancy. You cannot process all of this.
What is this place?
It is now called Studio 6.02214. This was the home of the dinosaurs and hyper-evolved dolphins. They were exploring the universe together, but the Diabolicals brought it to use as a gallery. Your headache is because they condensed the universe down into a very small space.
Why?
Better resolution. You haven't seen the Mona Lisa of Schmedrax Epsilon until you've seen it in 800,000K.
Can I look?
We are almost there, Yancy.
The pants split an atom and took one last step into the final world of their journey. The desolate and decrepit domain of the Duke and Duchess Diabolical.
Okay, let's get my dog.
The world of the Diabolicals was a gloomy one. Here it was always a dark and stormy night, even in the day. There was no plant life, there were no animals, just an endless, wind-swept coastline of jagged bluffs and rocky outcroppings, with a massive, Gothic castle perched right on the edge. The pants informed Yancy that the Duke and Duchess were the only permanent residents of this planet, aside from the honored guests who stayed with them in the castle. Yancy was pitching ideas about how to sneak into such a formidable fortress, but it was all for naught. When they saw the front door, they also saw a butler waiting for them. Well, it was really a cloud of dull yellow nanospores, not too different from Quantum Bruce other than the color, and of course the bow tie. It wouldn't be proper for a butler to wear a slouch hat. How would you know it was a butler? And so it wore, somehow, a collar and bow tie, even though it had no neck and was a cloud of nanospores.
Master Shmantz, I presume? Who's asking? My name is Quantum Jeeves, sir. I represent the benevolent Duchess Debbie Diabolical. I bid you enter.
You're not gonna red wedding me, are you?
Would that I could, sir.
Yancy entered the front hall of the mighty castle. Aside from the mold on the walls and the funky odor in the air, it was pretty nice.
Say, you know a guy named Quantum Bruce?
Regret to inform, sir, he is my brother-in-law.
Well, you tell him I think he's a big pink fart.
Rather.
You're nice, Jeeves. Am I supposed to tip you?
No, sir.
That's good. I don't have any money. Do you, Pants?
No.
This way, sir. And Pants.
Jeeves drifted through the end of the main hall, which had a vaulted roof so high that there were little rain clouds in the corners. But they only caught a quick glimpse because the main hall was not for the likes of Yancy, who was quickly taken down the servants' hallway and into the kitchen. It was quite a long walk, and when they reached the underground kitchen, it was humid and damp and hot, and did not smell like any food Yancy would want to eat.
The Duke sups primarily on snips, snails, puppy dog tails, the traditional royal foods. The Duchess eats snips and snails too, but usually with a garnish of fresh unicorn puke. Only the best for her grace.
Are those flamin' hot Cheetos?
Quite. For the unicorn.
They approached a man in a chef's hat, a man with a great many arms, all wildly in motion as he prepped, cut, cooked, fried, and baked all at the same time.
This is our head chef, Monsieur Foothands.
Bonsoir!
Yancy saw that the man indeed had feet where he should have hands on each of his 12 arms. He held custom-made utensils with his long, twisted toes.
Mon Dieu, I hope you like some.
Yancy might have stuck around to see what was on the menu next, but the pants stayed focused on Quantum Jeeves and followed him out of the kitchen and up a flight of stairs, where, at long last, they entered the Royal Banquet Hall. The gilding was regal, the art eloquent, the architecture classic. And still this grand room seemed a little odd, probably because of the metal grating that covered the entire floor. In the middle of this room was a large, round table, at which sat two large, round-looking people scarfing down plates of food. The Duchess and the Duke ate most sloppily. Most of the food went flying out of the sides of their mouths, accompanied by no small amount of viscous drool. And Yancy suddenly understood the purpose of the grating. Quantum Jeeves led them across the grating to the edge of the table where he waited quietly. And so Yancy did as well. The Duchess and Duke Diabolical were enormous and shapeless and soft and great and gross and greasy, with overlapping folds of skin that had the texture and color of half-melted candle wax. That, combined with the vaguely amphibian flaps on either side of their oblong mouths, gave the Diabolicals a very frightening visage. But then Yancy sussed out that the sinister red dust on their lips and cheeks was, in fact, nothing arcane. It was just Cheeto dust. The Duchess cleared her palate with a swig of bottle tree pea and turned to address her guest.
What the hell so disrupted fourth meal?
1,000 pardons, Your Grace. This is Master Shmantz. He is inquiring about your newest and most beloved pet.
His name is Dooley Banjos.
Dooley Banjos? Splendid! Simply splendid! Befitting such a squalid creature.
He's my dog and I want him back.
Insolence! This dog is ours now. This is where he belongs, with others like him. He is uncommon.
He might be ugly, but I love him. You're just making fun of him.
Ugly? What? No. The dog called Dooley Banjos is exquisite. Your cesspool of a world does not deserve such regality. Quantum Jeeves, show him.
Very good, Your Grace. This way.
At the end of a very long hallway was a room so jammed full of treasure that the double wooden doors would not fully close. It wasn't gold, or money, or jewels. It was treats. Jerkies and kibbles and chunks and sausages and, oh my, sour gummy bears. Dooleys Favorite. Yancy pried the door open and peered inside to see his beloved dog sitting atop a heap of so much canine delights, like a dragon in its hoard. Although Dooley sat alone at the top, he was not alone. all around him were other dogs, some traditionally ugly, and some so ugly they must have come from a dimension with extra layers of ugly. And all the ugly dogs fawned over Dooley. He was royalty. Yancy stood in the doorway. He watched as Dooley patted down the heap of treats and took a nice long drink from a platinum toilet.
He's a king here.
Yancy took one last look, then gently pushed the door closed as best he could. Quantum Jeeves led them to the front door and slammed it behind them.
I know it was hard, Yancy, but you did the right thing.
I did, didn't I?
They started to walk away, and it occurred to them that they didn't know where they were going next.
Where to next?
I promised Mr. Science I'd give you back to him. I don't really wanna, but a promise is a promise.
He does not own me. He stole me. I do not believe your promise is valid.
I don't know. Say, can we travel in time? So that we could go do whatever we want for as long as we want, and then, go back to right after we left so no one ever notices?
No.
Can you lie and tell me that we can?
Yes.
We can?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome. And you're sure?
Yes.
Okay then, Pants. Where to next?
Why don't we walk for a while and see what our options are?
That sounds good. Say, can you play music?
Yes.
Really?
No. Can you hand me my wine? It's over here. I need to wet my whistle. I need to lubricate my instrument.